Hi everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. Hatha Yoga. My name is Michelle Chua. We're going to start lying down on our backs in Shavasana. How about that? So come on down. If you want a pillow under the backs of your knees, if you have any stiffness in the lower back, that can help relieve. Allow your feet to splay apart, arms wherever you need them to be to arrive here in the beginning of your yoga practice. As you come to stillness, I'd like to open with an excerpt from Meditations from the Mat, a quote by Carl Jung. One must be able to let things happen. Pretty simple, but not so simple to do. Here's the extract. One of the first challenges of pranayama, this fourth limb of yoga we're focusing on this week, is developing the ability to bring your attention to the breath without controlling it. The breath must be effortless, but we find that when we bring our attention to the breath, there is the impulse to try to control it, causing the breath to become forced. Breathing without effort is made more difficult because you are in fact slowing the breath, pausing in mid-breath, pausing at the end of the in-breath, pausing again at the end of the out-breath. There is so much to do, and there is an element of volition. Herein lies the practice. In life, we also have much to do. We are parenting, working, keeping house. We are accountable to our students, employees, customers, families, and society. We are accountable to all of that stuff. Pranayama, like the preceding three limbs of yoga, is in fact a study in subtlety and relationship, non-doing in doing, inaction in action. What we are learning as we bring our attention to our breath is the difference between intention and control. We begin pranayama with a clear intention, and then we let go and watch the universe respond. As we follow the breath, observing our vacillation between control and surrender, we learn to ride the breath, to experience the breath, to follow instead of lead. In our fear, we believe that we must make things happen. In our practice, we learn to let things happen. So as you bring your attention to your breath as it is, what do you notice? Perhaps already there's a little shift, a little adjustment. Can you let it be? Just for now, as we're observing what is. What does your breath have to reveal to you right here, right now? It's always so telling, the pattern of our breathing. Is your mind focused on what's here? Is it on something else? No judgment, just self-study, svadhyaya. And as you pay even more attention to perhaps any movement because of your breath, I invite you to place your hands where you feel your breath most prominently. Maybe it's at your nostrils, and maybe you don't want to cover your nose, and then just place your attention there if so. But maybe it's at your stomach. Maybe it's at the backs of your ribs. Is it challenging to be still and to start your yoga practice in Shavasana? For some of us who are constantly moving and busying our minds and our bodies, Shavasana can be the most challenging pose, even more so than a handstand. Coming back to your breath, what do you find? Though we're going to begin to control our breath in a moment, can you bring a sense of effortlessness within that control? So it's not a forcefulness, but it's a softness. Let's place the hands down to the pit of your belly, underneath your belly button. And now if again you imagine your torso as though it were a jar, and right now that jar is lying on its side, the lower half of the jar is at your pelvic floor, lower abdomen, lower back. The mid half of the jar is at your side ribs, front, back ribs. And the upper part of that jar is at your collarbones, across your shoulder blades, up to your neck and throat. So think of that jar 360 degrees round. And let's bring your attention to the lowest section of the jar, dividing the breath into 3 parts. Just into the lower section of the jar, take a slow inhalation, filling up the lower abdomen, your lower belly, the lowest sides of your waist near your hip bones. Filling up, filling up. Hold the breath in for a moment. And then to your mouth, slowly let it go. Feel the softening on all sides, all around that circle, drawing in towards your midline. And then now, bring your hands to the mid portion of your jar. You'll probably find your side ribs. Focus on that 360 degrees as you take a deep breath, inhaling to expand that. Slowly filling up, gently to the very top, lingering there, holding the breath, and then slowly through your mouth, letting it go. And you feel the softening inward towards your center line, all the way to empty. And now bring your hands to your chest, to your collarbones, the tops of your lungs, the back, tops of your lungs. Bring your mind's eye. Take your next in-breath in the upper portion of that jar. Perhaps feeling your sternum rise all the way to the top of that breath. Linger there. Feel that fullness, even in your back body, even at your armpits. And then slowly through the mouth, let it go. Taking your time, letting everything soften back in towards your center. All right, so now we're going to begin Ujjayi Pranayama, a 3-part breathing. You might choose to place one hand at your lower belly and one hand at your chest, but visualize those 3 sections of the jar of your torso. We're going to inhale 1/3 into the lowest portion, pause the breath, then we'll inhale another 1/3 into the mid portion, filling up your side ribs and all around, 360 degrees. Pause the breath, and then we'll fill up to the top portion of your lungs, even your upper back, your armpits. We'll hold the breath in, and then with the mouth closed, if you can, we'll exhale completely through the nose, all the way to empty. We'll hold the breath. That's 1 cycle. Let's try a few cycles together. Here we go. Empty this breath. Hold it out into the lowest portion. Inhale 1/3. Pause into your mid portion. Inhale 1/3. Pause into the uppermost portion. Inhale 1/3. Hold it in. If you can, through the nose, slowly empty your breath. All the way to the bottom at your pelvic floor. Hold it out. Again, lower belly, lower back. Inhale. Pause. Mid back, side ribs. Inhale. Pause. Upper back, chest. Inhale. Hold it in, relaxing your body. exhale completely. Down to the base of your spine, hold it out. Again, lower back, lower belly, inhale. Pause. Mid back, side ribs, inhale. Pause. Upper back, chest, inhale. Hold. And slowly let it all go. Hold at the bottom. Let's try one more together. Lowest portion, inhale. Pause. Mid body, inhale, or mid torso. Pause. Upper torso, inhale. Pause. Completely let it go. Hover at the bottom, and this time with no pauses, fill up slowly as you breathe in. Lower torso, mid torso, upper torso. And when you arrive at your top of your breath, stream the breath out to your nostrils, perhaps visualizing the breath releasing down to the base of your spine. Now cultivating a balance in length of inhalation with length of exhalation as we ease into Ujjayi Pranayama, victorious breathing, done by gently narrowing the back of your throat so that you can hear a very subtle whispering sound, not too loud. If I was standing on a yoga mat next to you, I shouldn't be able to hear it, just you, so that you're tracking the quality of your breathing. And that will allow you to follow with movements, riding the waves of your breath. Let's begin with moving now. If you have a yoga block, please reach for it and take the skinniest width of that block, hug it right in between your thighs as you bend your knees. Set your 2 feet on the ground, parallel to each other. Space your feet as wide apart as your thighs. And then with your arms down by your sides, close to your side ribs, ground the backs of your shoulders, slide your shoulder blades down your back ribs, tilt your chin back slightly away from your chest, and then slide your feet back until you could almost touch your heels with your fingertips, but not, just almost. Parallel your feet and spread your toes, ground through your heels. We're going to move in and out of bridge pose for 5 deep breaths. Think of it as a vinyasa flow. So truly initiate with the breath. As you inhale, begin to lift your pelvis, lengthening your thighs forward as you hug the block, lifting your upper back, lifting your chest. When you find the peak of your breath, the peak of your bridge pose, use the exhalation to smoothly lower 1 vertebra at a time, upper back, middle back, tailbone at the end of the exhale. Continue at your pace of breath, inhaling as you lift slowly into your peak of bridge and inhalation. Listen to the exhale as you release 1 vertebra at a time so that your tailbone lands at the bottom of your exhalation. 3 more rounds of breath. Notice when you lift your pelvis that you are activating your hamstrings, the backs of your thighs. Doing so feels like you're dragging your heels back towards your glutes without actually visibly moving your heels. Simultaneously, you're lengthening the fronts of your thigh bones forward and slightly spiraling your inner thighs towards the ground without pigeon-toeing your feet. You might be on your last round of breath here. Just go at your pace, slow and steady. And once you've landed your pelvis, gently just let your pelvis shift left and right a bit, almost like you're windshield wiping your shins, but not completely dropping them. Just a little massage for your sacrum. We're going to prepare to lift and hold bridge now for your own count of 5 to 10 deep breaths. So even if you do less breaths, more important is the quality of your breath. Full inhale, full exhale. So let's prepare. Ground your feet, ground your shoulders, tilt your chin slightly back. And as you're ready, lifting your hips, lengthening your thighs forward. Walk your upper arms closer together under your back ribs. Keep your arms straight, not flaring the elbows apart. If your hands meet, you might choose to interlace your fingers. Feel the outsides of your upper arms rooting down into the earth, as well as the backs of your shoulders, the soles of your feet, toes spread, not gripping the mat. Can you feel your breath through those 3 parts of your torso jar? Enlivening your lungs, enlivening every cell in your body with prana, life force energy, as well as your intention for your yoga practice today. No rush here, take your time. When you are ready to come down, releasing your arms, again, articulate, kissing the earth 1 vertebra at a time as you breathe out. When your pelvis eventually meets the ground, put your block aside, please, and bend your right knee into your chest, slide your left leg forward on the ground, and then scoot your pelvis about 3 more inches towards the right edge of your mat as we prepare for a spinal twist. Open your right arm wide, grounding the shoulder. Begin to cross your right thigh over your body to the left. Notice your breathing here as you might gaze past your right shoulder, stretching your neck. Might even use your left palm to gently press your right outer hip forward away from your right armpit. Let's take 3 last deep breaths here. Helping to decongest the spine of knots and tensions. Encouraging flow within your digestion. On your next exhalation, roll onto your back, bring your pelvis to the midline of your mat. Then bend your left knee into your chest, slide your right leg forward on the ground. From here, scoot your pelvis another 3 inches towards the left edge of your mat. Open your left arm wide, grounding the shoulder, and begin to twist slowly to your right. Looking over your left shoulder, perhaps to stretch your neck too. Has your breathing changed? You might choose to place your right palm on the outside of your left hip, just encouraging some traction into your lower spine as you press that foot forward, away from your left armpit. Allowing 3 more full breaths to flow. As you empty your breath, roll onto your back, draw your 2 bent knees into your chest. Hug them in tightly, maybe even rocking side to side, a little more lower back massage. All right, here's a fun little rock and roll variation I learned from my teacher, Ashley Turner, recently. It's pretty fun. We're gonna roll back and roll forward. Try to come up to sit, back and roll forward. We're gonna do this several times, just shaking things up, massaging up and down your spine. Perhaps the legs go further overhead, and perhaps you land forward in a squat if that's available. hands together at the heart, and then legs forward overhead, forward in a squat, legs back overhead, land forward in a squat, 2 more rounds to whatever degree you can. Breathe in, whoops, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. And then we'll land in a squat of your choice. You could also use 1 or 2 blocks as a stool to sit on. Unless your pelvis is fine hovering off the floor, use your arms, maybe your elbows, to splay your inner thighs apart as you join your palms to meet your sternum, lifting through the crown of your head. Empty your shoulders and broaden your chest. Let your tailbone lengthen downward as you spread your toes. 3 more deep breaths here in Malasana. Deep inhale, press down to your feet, keep your spine vertical and tall, and exhale, slowly rise. Tadasana, parallel your feet hips width. Inhale, circle your arms overhead, hooking your thumbs like an eagle. Exhale, coil your chest up, slide your shoulders down, tailbone towards inner heels. Inhale here, keep expanding, lifting your chest, gazing up. Bend your knees, exhale, forward fold. Press your shins, blocks or the floor. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. Exhale, step left knee back, come into a kneeling lunge. Step the right foot outside of your right hand. Inhale here, flex your right foot, splay your right thigh open. You're in a lizard lunge. Keep your right heel where it is. And exhale, scissor right hip back, straightening the right leg. Right leg continues to turn out as you flex the right foot. Inhale again, lizard lunge, bend the right knee, still splaying the thigh open. Exhale, scissor right hip back, straightening the right leg with a thigh splayed open. 3 more. Inhale, lunge, lizard lunge. Exhale, scissor right hip back, straighten and fold. Inhale, lizard lunge. Exhale, straighten and fold. Last round, inhale, keep flexing your right foot. Exhale, scissor and fold. Inhale, step your right foot down. Coil your chest up. Exhale, step into plank pose. Pause for 3 breaths. Knees on the floor or legs straight. Stack your shoulders over your wrists. Gaze just ahead of your hands. Lift your navel towards your spine. Take another inhale. Exhale, glide forward. Strong belly here. Graze your elbows by your side ribs through Chaturanga Dandasana. Come all the way down. Wrists alongside floating ribs. Inhale to cobra. Soften the shoulders down. Ground the tops of your feet. Tuck your toes. Hollow your belly as you exhale. Lift through plank. Tailbone towards the sky. Downward facing dog. Breathe in. Through your nose. Breathe out. Inhale, raise your left leg behind you. Exhale, bending your left knee. Turn the left thigh open at the hip. Inhale here, tack your right outer hip back. Exhale, bend left knee towards your nose, round forward, step the left foot outside of your left hand, lizard lunge, lower your back knee. Remember, you could have blocks under your hands if needed. Inhale in your lizard lunge, flex your left foot, splay your left thigh open. Exhale, scissor left hip back, straightening the left leg as it continues to turn out. Bow inside of it. 4 more times. Inhale, lizard lunge, bend your left knee. Exhale, scissor left hip back, straighten the leg, and bow. Inhale, bend. Exhale, straighten. Inhale, bend. Keep flexing your left foot. Exhale, straighten. 1 more round. Inhale, bend. Exhale, straighten. This time, bend your left knee, set the sole flat on the ground facing forward, and coil your chest up. Tuck your back toes. Exhale, step right foot forward, feet hips distance at the top fold. Press the ground of your legs. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. Exhale, fold in. Inhale, sweep your arms, rising to stand. Hook the opposite thumb if you remember which. Eagle hands. Exhale, coil your chest up. Stay here as you inhale, tailbone towards inner heels. Lower belly draws in as you broaden your chest and look up. Exhale, bend your knees, forward fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. This time, step the ball of your right foot back to a high lunge, feet hips distance parallel. Inhale, rise up, crescent pose. Join your hands together at your heart. Spin the right heel to the ground, align left heel to arch of right foot. Warrior two, open your arms. From Warrior two, we're gonna enter a new flow. So keep wrapping your left sitting bone under, firming the top of your right thigh bone back towards your left wall, ground through both feet. Inhale, straighten your left leg, raise your arms, get taller through your spine. Exhale, rebend your left knee, open your arms, back to Warrior two. 4 more times. Inhale, rise. Exhale, bend. Inhale, rise. Exhale, bend. Feel how you're riding the waves of your breath. Inhale, rise. Exhale, bend. Inhale, rise. Exhale, bend. Keep your legs in Warrior two. Left knee stays bent, facing forward over the heel. Flip your left palm to face up. Lift the sides of your waist and lean towards your rear wall in Peaceful Warrior. Right hand lands lightly on right leg, opening your left side body. Inhale here, Peaceful Warrior. Rising through Warrior two, reach the left forearm forward and down to your left thigh. Sweep your right arm towards your front wall for an opposite lateral stretch, side angle. Inhale through Warrior two, lean into Peaceful Warrior. Exhale through Warrior two, lean forward to side angle. 3 more. Inhale, Peaceful Warrior. Exhale, side angle. Inhale, Peaceful Warrior. Exhale, side angle. Inhale, Warrior two again. Exhale, cartwheel your hands to plank. Lower forward through Chaturanga. This time choose Cobra or Upward Facing Dog. Breathing in as you lift your chest. Draw your belly in to lift your hips as you exhale to Downward Facing Dog. Pausing there, take a full cycle of breath. Inhale, raise your right leg behind you. Exhale, bend your right knee, turn the thigh open at the hip. Inhale, tack your left outer hip further back. Exhale, round through plank, bending your right knee towards your nose. Softly land the right foot inside of right hand, high lunge. You're on the ball of your back foot. Inhale, slowly rise, crescent lunge. Join your hands at your heart. Align right heel to arch the left foot as you lower the back heel. Warrior two. Take a moment in Warrior two. Feel your right outer hip wrap underneath your body. Top of your left thigh firm back towards the right wall behind you. Arms wide open. Warrior two. As you firm down through both feet, inhale, straighten your right leg. Raise your arms overhead, lengthening your spine. Exhale, rebend your right knee. Open your arms to Warrior two. 4 more. Inhale, rise. Exhale, bend. Inhale, rise. Exhale, bend. Eyes steady. Inhale, rise. Exhale, bend. Inhale, rise. And exhale, bend. Now keeping your right knee bent just over the heel. Flip your right palm to face up. Lift your spine, then laterally lean towards your rear wall in Peaceful Warrior. Left hand lands lightly on the left leg as you open up your right side body. Take a deep breath. Exhale, rise through Warrior two. Reach the right forearm forward and onto your right thigh. Left Palm sweeps towards the front wall, side angle pose. 4 more rounds. Inhale, rise through warrior 2 to lean back into peaceful warrior. Exhale up to warrior 2 to lean forward to side angle. Inhale up and back, peaceful warrior. Exhale, side angle. Inhale, peaceful warrior. Exhale, side angle. Inhale, peaceful warrior. Exhale, side angle. Warrior 2, take a deep breath, spine upright, arms wide open. Exhale, cartwheel your hands to frame your right foot and step your left foot forward, top of your mat, both feet touching. Inhale, lengthen halfway up. Exhale, fold in. Sweeping your arms, inhale, rise to the top. Exhale, join your hands to meet at your heart. Let your feet come together as you bend your knees together, perhaps graze the floor with your fingertips. Let's take 5 breaths in Utkatasana, chair pose. Can you ride your awareness on your breath? Shin bones gliding back, your tailbone descending as your front ribs hug in towards your back body. Relaxing your shoulders. Last breath, perhaps sit a little lower. Exhale, hinge forward to fold. Inhale, lengthen halfway. Float into chaturanga or step to plank and lower. On your own, finishing your vinyasa, let's meet in downward dog. While you're here looking at the ground, see if you have a strap around. You may need it. And if you do, go ahead and grab it with one hand, step your right foot between your hands, spin your back heel down, and rise up into warrior 2. Now here, take a moment to see that you're aligning right heel to arch of left foot, left leg is slightly turned in and straight. Right outer hip wraps under, lower belly is drawing in, your center feels alive and contained. Now holding the strap in your left hand, wrap your left arm around your waist behind you so that the strap dangles on the outside of your right thigh. Gliding your hips towards the rear edge of your mat, reach your right arm forward towards your front wall. Try to lengthen your right side of your torso as you bring your right arm onto the inner side of your right thigh, reaching for the other end of the strap. Now, as you walk your hands slowly closer together if they can, continue to wrap your right sitting bone under your body. Avoid protruding your right glute towards your right wall, which causes hyperextension in the lower back. You want to feel the belly's drawing in, the tailbone is strongly lengthening towards your left outer heel. And you're using your right arm to press against your inner right thigh as your inner right thigh firms back stably. Now, if you could clasp your fingers, you could let go of the strap, perhaps even right hand holding left wrist. As we stay a little longer in your version of bound, Uttita Parshvakonasana, side angle pose, see if you might be able to further spiral your chest towards the sky while sending your 2 shoulders down your back, perhaps looking up. Let's take 3 more breaths. Now, you might need to loosen your bind of your hands or the strap for a moment, but keep the bind and begin to straighten your right leg. You may need to walk in your left foot to a slightly shorter stance, coming into triangle with a bind. Now make sure that you're not locking your right knee here or hyperextending it. If that tends to happen, Try micro bending your right knee. You want to firm your right quadricep. Keep spiraling your chest towards the sky. Another 3 breaths. Bound Trikonasana. Bend your right knee again. Open up to Warrior 2. Sweep your right palm back into Peaceful Warrior. Pause just a couple of deep breaths. Reopen your right side body. Feel that your right knee here is not buckling into your left, but it continues to align with your right middle toe. Take another deep breath. Exhale, lower into a vinyasa or cat-cow or child's pose. See what you need right now to rebalance. We'll meet in downward facing dog. As you arrive, take 3 consciously deep breaths through the 3 parts of your torso and completely emptying through your nose. What is your breath telling you here? As you honor your breath teacher, look for your strap. You might need it for side 2 and grab it with one hand. Step your left foot forward between your hands, spin the right heel down, and rise up to Warrior 2. So see that your left heel aligns with the arch of your right foot. Your right leg slightly turns in and is straight. Your left outer hip wraps under as you bend the front knee in line with the middle toe right over the heel, while firming the top of your right thigh bone towards your left wall behind you. Then take hold of the strap in your right hand, swing it around your waist behind you so it's dangling on the left side of your left thigh. Then glide your pelvis sideways towards the rear edge of your mat, lengthening your left side body as you reach your left fingertips towards your front wall. Really honor that length of your left side. As you bring your left arm on the inside of your left thigh, find the other end of the strap. And as you're walking your hands as close together as you're able to here, press your left arm against your inner left thigh, but keep your left thigh solidly stable. Using that as sort of leverage to add the spiraling action of chest to face the sky. Shoulder blades both moving down your back. Notice that your left glute is not sticking out towards your left wall here. It's wrapping underneath your body. And you're actively directing your tailbone to lengthen towards your right outer heel. Belly is firming in. All of that is important for your lower back stability. Now, if it's possible, you might clasp your fingers. You might hold on to your right wrist. And as you steady your gaze, perhaps looking up, let's take another 3 breaths in bound side angle pose. Now look down at the inside of your left foot. You might need to shorten your stance 2 to 3 inches. You might need to loosen the grip of your arm bind. Begin to straighten your left leg. Now remember, you could micro bend your left knee to avoid locking it or hyperextending it. And as you're straightening your left leg, keep wrapping your left glute underneath, tacking your left hip crease back towards the rear edge of your mat, countering that action with lengthening your spine and crown towards your front wall. Chest towards the sky, maybe looking up, bound triangle pose. Bend your left knee, unwind up to Warrior 2. Keep your left knee bent facing forward, flip your left palm up, sweep it back to Peaceful Warrior. Let your breath nourish space within your left side body. Deep inhale. Exhale, cartwheel your hands into plank. Choose whether you're flowing or not. And let's meet in downward facing dog. Slowly walk your hands back towards your feet, folding over your legs at the rear of your mat. Bend your knees any amount you need here as your feet are parallel hips distance. Utkatasana. Using your first two fingers, clasp your big toes. Then inhale, draw your heart forward to elongate your spine, sliding your shoulders back. Keep shifting your weight forward as you hinge even deeper from your hips. Splaying your elbows apart, dropping your skull, and floating your shoulders away from your neck. Let's take a few deep breaths. If you need a moment to cool off, try lion's breath. Inhale deeply. Open your eyes, cross them, mouth open wide, tongue out as you exhale. Either another lion's breath or two, or maybe fluttering your lips also helps to loosen the jaw of any tension. You might enjoy shaking your head a little here too, releasing your neck. One more breath. Releasing your big toes. Bring your hands to your hips. Bend your knees slightly with a flat back, firm belly. Begin to lift your chest. Inhale to rise up, mountain pose. So if you haven't noticed, we had a request today to open the hips and the outer hips a bit. So grab a couple of blocks, you may need them, or you could put a chair in front of you. That can be a substitute for blocks. And as you stand towards the front of your mat, maybe a foot and a half away from the front of your mat, place the blocks 1 foot in front of your toes. Feet are together. Blocks are your shoulders width apart. And let's return to chair pose. Sink back towards your heels. Join your hands at your heart in chair. Re-steady your gaze. Hear your breath. Turning out your right leg at the hip, flex your right foot and cross your right ankle over your left thigh. Use the contact of ankle and thigh to help externally rotate your right thigh bone at the hip even more. Now feel your sitting bones. Can you even them out as they perhaps begin to descend further back? Now try to avoid leaning forward as you bend your left knee deeper. You want to keep your left knee pretty much right on top of your left ankle instead of in front of your left ankle. Can you engage your belly here and feel that support for lengthening your spine, your lower back? Now, option to stay here, keep your right foot flexed the entire time. Option to go a little deeper into the sensation of opening your right outer hip by placing your hands lower onto your props. There's also an option for an arm balance. If you're itching for that, we've created quite a bit of heat already. Then you can set your hands flat on the floor, shoulders width apart, and think of your arms right now in plank, moving into chaturanga in a moment. You'll clasp the top of your right flex foot around the outside of your left upper arm like a latch. Then by gazing forward at least 2 feet ahead on the floor, you can allow your weight to shift forward as you hollow your belly, thereby crossing your right shin on top of your 2 upper arms like a shelf you create by bending the elbows in chaturanga. Pushing off of your shelf of upper arms, you can perhaps begin to lift the left foot, extending the leg behind you, extending your chest forward, and rooting down to rise up. Flying single pigeon. Then as you're ready, from your figure 4 shape with left foot on the floor, join your hands at your heart. With an exhalation, slowly rise up. Set your right foot down. And back to mountain pose. Deep breath. All right, side two. Maybe set up your props for your hands for another option. Bring your feet together and let's come back into chair, into Utkatasana. Join your hands at your heart. Shift your weight onto your right foot. Turn out your left leg and flexing the foot. Cross your left ankle over your right thigh. Use the contact between thigh and ankle to help externally rotate your left thigh as you try to evenly draw both sitting bones back and perhaps down. Notice the location of your right knee in relationship to your right ankle. Can you keep the right knee back to stack over the ankle? How's your breathing? Now you might be reaching your arms up. Make sure to keep your left foot flexed the entire posture here. You might lower your hands, adding more sensation into your left outer hip. You might enter an arm balance, flying single pigeon. Looking past your hands on the floor to shift your weight forward as you hollow your belly, placing your left shin across your two upper arms as you clasp your right upper arm with your left toes. Breathing into all three parts of your torso. Hear your exhale so subtly whisper. Taking your time as you're ready to exit, bring mindfulness into that exit. Breath is calm, breath is steady. Then rising up to stand. Tadasana. Deep inhale. Open the mouth, make any sound that feels good right now. Ha! And let's turn to face the wide width of your mat, please. Separate your feet wide apart for Presarita Tanasana with your hands clasped behind your back. Or grab a strap, you can hold it between. Spread your toes, lift your heart, take a deep breath. Exhale, hinge forward. Let your weight shift forward more into the balls of your feet than your heels, letting your head go. Arms reaching forward, feel the opening in the fronts of your shoulders while lifting your shoulder bones away from your neck. Now, option to lower your hands and start to move into tripod headstand, if that is part of your regular practice. Option to hug one outer calf and spiral your torso into a bit of a twist as you more deeply stretch into your hamstrings and perhaps your calf. Option 2, lift your spine halfway up. Extend one arm towards the sky into another spinal twist while keeping your two hips even, balanced. Whatever you're choosing to explore in this inversion, allow about 5 more cycles of breath. Then rising halfway, pause there with hands on blocks or the floor. Shoulders softening down your back. Begin to pivot to face the front of your mat so that you enter a lunge. Let that lunge take you into plank, lowering through chaturanga, in which you might pause in chaturanga, perhaps more than one cycle of breath. We're going to land on our bellies eventually, so we'll meet there. Once on your belly, lying face down, let's prepare for bound locust pose with the option to transition into bow pose, Dhanurasana. So, begin with your knees as close together as possible. Spiral your inner thighs slightly towards the sky to broaden across your lower back. Lengthen your tailbone towards your inner heels to lengthen your lower back also. Then reach your hands behind you and try switching the interlacing of your thumb and index finger on top, or grab a strap. Begin to point your toes so actively behind you that you lift your knees with your legs straight off the ground. Coiling your chest, lift your head gently off the ground. Reach the knuckles of your clasped hands back towards your heels and feel your heart space blossom and rise. We'll give it about 5 breaths in total. Now, if you're moving to bow pose, keep lifting and bend your knees. Catch hold of your outer feet and kick your legs towards straight while pulling your feet towards your glutes. In either posture, try to keep your knees from splaying wider than hips width apart. When you're ready to let it go, perhaps you make a pillow out of your forearms and turn your head to one side, pigeon-toeing your feet to rest here with 3 deep belly breaths. We're going to do the same thing one last round. Down locust pose with an option to transition into bow. That's Salabasana into Dhanurasana. So when you're ready, bring your knees close together, parallel your feet and point your toes. Reach your hands behind, maybe switch the clasp of your fingers on top. Inhale, lift everything you can off the floor. Inner thighs spiral towards the sky, tailbone reaches towards your inner heels. Option to bend your knees here and catch your outer feet for bow pose. Feel the contrast of kicking your legs towards straight while pulling your feet towards your glutes. Heart light, shoulders soft, face happy, and breath balanced. Maybe go for more than 5 breaths here, perhaps 7, perhaps 10. This is the last one. And when you're ready to let it go, turn your head to the opposite side. Either pigeon toe your feet or windshield wiper your shins left and right. Inhale into your abdomen. Exhale to your mouth. Last 2 breaths. Can you let your exhale last longer than your inhale? And then please slide into child's pose. Pelvis all the way down to your heels as you bring your feet together, knees together or apart, extending your arms straight ahead so that you're actively lengthening both ends of your spine. Option to spiral and to thread the needle while in child's pose. If so, flare your right elbow towards the sky and crawl your right fingertips towards the upper right corner of your mat. Then thread your left arm underneath your right bent elbow with your left palm facing up and lean your left ear towards the ground. What part of your body could use a bit more vitality here? Can you breathe into that space? If you're twisting, let's give it 2 more breaths on this side. And then to switch sides, if you are practicing thread the needle, come through center in child's pose, and then flare your left elbow towards the sky, crawl your left fingertips towards the upper left corner of your mat. Then thread your right arm underneath your left bent elbow with your right palm face up, leaning the right side of your skull towards the ground. Where is your body asking for your breath to massage? If any place. Listen to 2 more breaths here. Coming back through child's pose. Tuck your chin towards your chest, and with an inhale, begin to roll your spine upright slowly until you can sit up on your shins. Now here, as we stretch the front of your feet, the front of your shins, the front of your ankles, you could take one knee up at a time, lifting it as you press the top of the foot on the floor. It can be about 4 to 5 breaths each side. Or if possible, you could place your hands behind you and lean back, doing both at the same time, like a rocking chair reclining. Last 2 breaths here. And gently leaning forward, please come onto all fours for our final calf stretch. There's another request today, so you might need to bull kick your right foot a bit so that you can really tuck the toes under and straighten your right leg back. Now this might be plenty if your calves are pretty tight. You could even gently rock forward and back while keeping your belly slightly lifted. But if you're not feeling much yet, you could take your top of your left foot and place it at your right Achilles tendon, pressing the heel towards your rear wall as you lengthen your sternum towards your front wall. As you're ready, back to hands and knees to switch sides. Maybe a little bull kicking of your left foot to tuck the toes under. Straighten your left leg back in plank. And this might be plenty. You could add a little rocking forward and back gently. Or you could add a little more sensation by picking up your right foot, placing the top of it on your left Achilles tendon to gently press your left heel back towards your rear wall. Keep lifting your belly here in support of your lower back. Chest towards your front wall. How's your breathing? And as you're ready, let's come to sit with the legs in front of you. Preparing for Shavasana. So if you have the ability to support your legs lifted, whether on a wall in Viparita Karani, legs at the wall pose, or on a chair or on blocks, a makeshift couch, I invite you to do that, especially if you have any soreness in your legs or hips. You can encourage some blood flow from your feet to your pelvis, to your heart. Otherwise, choose your most comfortable Shavasana posture. And as you arrive, close your eyes, scan your body and feel symmetry in left and right sides. Find ease in areas of usual tension, and then allow one last deeply expansive breath, not only through the 3 parts of your torso, but through all ends of your physical body. Taking your time to completely cleanse with your exhalation. And when you finish, letting go of all effort, give yourself permission to not do anything. taming the bull. The whip and rope are necessary, else he might stray down some dusty road. Being well trained, he becomes naturally gentle. Then, unfettered, he obeys his master. Kakwam. Once we begin to train our minds and our breathing in pranayama, we find that we need to use a significant amount of will in order to make progress. In other words, the whip and rope are necessary. Before we know it, however, we find that something has shifted. On a given day, even the most distracted mind calms after a few minutes of practice. Next, we find that the breath we have worked so hard to regulate in pranayama remains regulated throughout our asana practice and as we move through the day. Being well trained, he becomes naturally gentle. As the months become years, we find that our minds and our breath have become willing partners. Unfettered, he obeys his master. If you'd like to join me sitting in meditation, please take your time to let your body rise, gentle movements, coming into a comfortable seat. If you're interested in using a mantra for directing your energy as we sit in meditation, here are a couple of options. One, as I explained in some recent classes, is bliss body, or activating your innermost sheath or kosha, Anandamaya kosha. So centering on the feeling of pure joy, and that's bringing all the fingers to touch, except the pinky fingers, and just resting your hands down. If you're looking for a feeling of vitality, a mudra for that is to bring all of your fingers except your first two fingers, like the peace sign fingers, keeping them together and just letting them rest on your lap. Some options, actually you bring the thumbs to cross over the pinky and ring. All right, setting the timer now, 5 minutes. Bring your mind's eye to the base of your spine, inhaling into the lowest portion of your torso. Pause. Inhale into your side ribs, your mid-back. Pause. Inhale into the tops of your lungs, your chest, your armpits. This time open your mouth and slowly let it go. Bringing your palms to meet at your heart. How might you ride the waves of your breath in day-to-day life? How might you benefit from adding a flavor of your vinyasa and things that you might do in auto mode, like washing the dishes? Just something you might experiment with if you haven't already. Let's close with one chant of Om. Take a deep breath. The light in me bows to the light in you. Namaste.